You know, Bungle, kids say the darnest things sometimes.
You're right, Blunder. But sometimes the things they say are terrifying.
These are the scariest things said by children.
And if you like content like this, make sure and like, subscribe, leave us some comments below on things you would like to see us read or react to next.
This story is called Blue Lady's Hands. When my daughter was around 3 or 4 years old, she started talking about someone she called the Blue Lady. Naturally, my wife and I were curious and asked her who this Blue Lady was. Her answer gave us the creeps.
I don't know, but she wants her hands back.
Nope! For several weeks, she kept mentioning this Blue Lady. With the same story about her needing her hands, it never changed, and honestly, it spooked us out big time. We were seriously considering calling in a priest or even a witch to bless the house. Calling in a witch, I don't know if that would have blessed the house, but...
You know, bring a bruja in with an egg. Trap the evil in the egg and then get the heck out of there.
Do you scramble it afterwards?
Oh, it probably would be black and evil, but sure, why not?
Green eggs and ham.
The next story is called He'd Checked Out. When my son was around 6 or 7, he used to sleepwalk. It wasn't a big deal. I'd just guide him back to his room and tuck him in. But one time, something odd happened. I had just got him back in bed and covered him up, saying, "Good night, Connor." Suddenly, he sat up straight, his eyes wide yet vacant, and in a creepy voice said, "Connor's not here right now." I usually never woke him during his sleepwalking episodes, but that night, I did. It really spooked me.
Oh no.
"Connor's not here now. Please leave a message after the beep."
Beep. Next story is called Past Life. When my nephew was around 3 years old, I was introducing him to a Sonic the Hedgehog game. Out of the blue, he said something quite peculiar.
I've played that before, with my old granddad.
That struck me as odd for 2 reasons. Firstly, I knew he had never played the game before, and secondly, he didn't have an old granddad. Curious about this, I talked to his mom, who explained that he often spoke about his old life. She had gathered from his stories that he believed he had a previous existence where he passed away at the age of 13. In this supposed past life, he had a big family with many brothers and sisters, all living in an apartment with kind parents who interestingly had few teeth. According to him, he chose my brother and sister-in-law to be his new parents. He was remarkably consistent and persistent about these stories, insisting that his old parents were good people. It was quite strange to hear, and I'm not sure if he continues to talk about them now that he started school. Kids with previous lies, send them back, get a return. Nope.
Our next story is called Only Near Cemeteries. When my daughter was little, we'd be driving in the car, and out of the blue, she'd excitedly exclaim, "My sisters are here!" Then she'd happily chat away, as if she had invisible friends sitting beside her in the empty seat. I didn't think much of it at first. Many kids have imaginary friends. She would talk about her sisters, whose names she didn't even know. It was all rather harmless, and I didn't pay it too much attention since she was only a child. But there was one strange thing about these episodes. She only mentioned her invisible sisters when we were near cemeteries. It was a bit eerie, and I'd try to dismiss it as mere coincidence. She'd say it, and I'd anxiously scan our surroundings, relieved when I saw no tombstones nearby, yet inevitably, we'd stumble upon a small family graveyard hidden in the bushes along the roadside a little later. Once, It even happened on vacation. She mentioned her sisters at the base of a hill. As we reached the hill summit, there was a cemetery on the other side. I couldn't explain it, and she never seemed to acknowledge the cemeteries.
We've said this before, Bungle. Kids see things that us mature adults do not see. Our next story is called Billy Doesn't Live Here Anymore. That just gave me goosebumps saying that title. I had a friend who lived in a really old house from the 1750s. When she was younger, she had an imaginary friend named Billy. They would play together with dolls and pretend in her room, and her parents didn't think much of it. One day, her parents noticed that she was being unusually quiet, so they went to check on her in her room. I'm getting goosebumps, Bungle. What they saw scared them a lot. She was just sitting on the floor staring at a blank part of the wall. There was nothing there for her to look at. They asked her what she was doing, and she responded by saying she was playing with Billy. I literally just got goosebumps. Her parents thought this was a little strange, but they figured kids do weird things sometimes, so they didn't worry too much. However, after that day, my friend never played with Billy again. A few years later, my friend's parents had to remove some drywall in her room for some reason. What they found was really creepy. The workers discovered the name Billy scratched into the beam inside the wall. Naturally, my friend's parents were shocked and decided to look into it more. It turns out there was indeed a little boy named Billy who died on the property in the late 1800s. Strangely enough, my friend has no memory of ever playing with Billy. Her mom shared this story with us when we were older. There are just some things you should keep to yourself.
And there's some things that should just stay hidden in the walls.
Oh, you gave me chills.
Our next story is called I Saw You in the Window. My daughter was 4 years old and playing in the backyard. I went inside for a quick minute to do something in the kitchen on the first floor. I didn't step foot upstairs at all. After a little bit, I came back out. My daughter told me, "Mommy, why were you in my room? I saw you looking out the window at me." This totally spooked me because it was just the two of us at home. I let her know I didn't go upstairs, but she became upset, sticking to her story that she saw me at her window from the top floor. Feeling super uneasy, I hesitated but went upstairs to check. I was more than a little scared, but there was nobody in the house. No ghosts. No one.
The call is coming from inside the house. Get out, girl, you're in danger. The next story is called Grandma Did It. When my daughter was learning her ABCs, one morning during breakfast, she surprised us by singing all the way through the first time. We praised her and asked if she'd been practicing at daycare. She told us no, but added,
Mommy's mommy taught me when I was in bed.
it was a bit eerie because her grandmother had passed away 3 years earlier.
Oh!
Grandma knows best.
The next story is called Angry Red Eyes. My son was nearly 3 when he called me into his room, just 5 minutes after bedtime. I asked what was wrong, and he says, "I'm scared." I asked him why, and his response gave me the chills. He said, "I'm scared of the old lady with the angry red eyes."
I should save this for after you said that, okay?
It startled me, but I thought maybe he'd seen something on TV or his iPad. Wanting to soothe him, I leaned over his bed and asked where he'd seen this old lady. He goes, "She's standing right behind you." I froze, turned around slowly. Thankfully, there was nothing there. I gave him a goodnight kiss and left, leaving the door slightly ajar. I'd probably be like, you know what, kid, let's bring you over to my room for the night.
I mean, yeah, I would have put the kid in my bed that night. Either that or burn some sage, like, right away. Story is called I'm Right Where I'm Supposed to Be. I once knew a woman who had lost a child shortly after birth. A few years on, she adopted a baby from a young teen mother. One day, this adopted daughter looks up and seriously tells her that she was always meant to be her mom, that she tried once before, but now she's back where she belongs. This little girl, about 5, had no clue about the baby her adoptive mother had lost.
Or did she?
I'm back.
Our last story is called They Were Safer at McDonald's. When I was 7 months pregnant with my 3rd child, my husband and I, along with our 2 kids, packed our van with everything we could and set off from the East Coast to the West Coast for a new job opportunity. Our kids were 1 and 3 years old. We made frequent stops for bathroom breaks to let the kids stretch their legs. On the 3rd day, they were particularly restless, so we pulled over at a park in either New Mexico or Arizona. We sat them down on the playground and had a little picnic. The 3-year-old seemed to be enjoying himself, but something felt off. He was talking to himself, laughing, and just acting out of the ordinary. When he came over to eat, I asked him what was going on, and he mentioned he was playing with his new friend Tony. He laughed, saying Tony was telling him something funny. This wasn't his first imaginary friend, but something about Tony felt unsettling. Despite my unease, I encouraged him to finish eating and play a bit more before we left. Leaving became a challenge. He was upset, mentioning that Tony wanted him to stay forever. I was genuinely creeped out, and with my pregnancy hormones in overdrive, I picked him up and we headed towards the car where my husband was securing our younger child. Realizing I had left my purse, I went back and noticed a plaque by the park entrance. Something urged me to read it. It was a memorial for a 7-year-old boy named Anthony, who had died in a car accident in the 1980s while riding his bike home from the park. We hurriedly left, and for the remainder of the trip, we only stopped at McDonald's play places.
No. Oh my God.
You never see a McDonald's play place with a dedicated plaque.
And there's a reason for that.
Thank you all for joining us on another episode of the scariest things said by children.
Whoa. Oh, remember, if you like content like this, please like, subscribe, hit that little notification button, and please, come on, leave us some comments down below telling us what you think. It really helps us out there if you can leave us some comments and give us some of those likes, so we'd really appreciate it. And on that note, I'm Blunda.
And I'm Bungle. Thank you all for being here. Until next time, we'll see you
In the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's why I don't have kids. Everyone's like, why are you child free? Watch our videos.
Okay.